Hello, everybody. My name is Christoph Müller. I am making videos for the support of Ukraine. And if you like this program, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And today I'm very happy to have Zarina Zabrisky here in the channel. She is a filmmaker and she's living in Kherson in Ukraine. She's American and she has produced a very impressive work. It's called Human Safari, and we are going to talk about this. Hello, welcome to the channel, Zarina.
Hi, Christoph. Thank you so much for having me. Two corrections which come every time. My name is very difficult. It's pronounced as Zarina Zabrisky.
Zarina Zabrisky. Thank you.
That's correct. And the film is called Kherson Human Safari, not Human Safari. It's important because that's how you can find it online. So thank you very much for that. And I'm looking forward to the conversation and to telling you more.
Yeah, thank you very much for correcting me on this issue. Zarina, I have seen your film already in the cinema in Bonn, which is the partner city of Kherson. I live in Bonn, and the war is going on now it's coming into its 5th year, which is incredible. When did you decide to move to Kherson?
All right. So I don't want to be that annoying person who always corrects people, but the war has been going on since 2014. This is very important for Ukrainians. So every time somebody understandably says that the war is going on for 4 years, we have to make sure that there is an understanding, because without it, we cannot really explain what's happening in Ukraine. And as for me moving to Ukraine, that was actually the beginning of the full-scale invasion, which happened on the 24th of February, 2022. So next week, we are going to be solemnly marking and giving, minutes of silence and mourning the victims of this war, definitely not celebrating, which I occasionally hear. It's a very, very solemn and sad date for Ukraine. And when it did happen, I asked the Ministry of Defense for accreditation, applied for the documents as a war journalist, because before that I was back in San Francisco, based there, and traveling around Europe also, and writing about hybrid warfare for newspapers like Byline Times. So for me, it was only a logical step to start reporting on the hot war, on the conventional war. Kherson was occupied during the first week of the full-scale invasion. So by the 1st of March, the Russian tanks, the Russian soldiers were already in the streets of Kherson. And then for 9 months, the city was occupied by the Russian forces until Ukrainians pushed them back across the Dnipro River. And that was on November 11th, 2022. And that was the first time when I came to the city, because before that, I was based in Odessa and I was traveling to Donbass and other parts of the front line. Once I came to Kherson, I was very impressed with what I have seen, with people I have met, and I started to go there more and more often until in September 2023, I moved there to make my first film, and I stayed ever since.
Wow, yeah, that's very impressive, and I would like to show this one also in this video now.
Dear friends of Kherson in Germany, thank you so much for paying attention to Kherson and for your willingness to help. Help is really needed here. It's very cold, unusually cold in Kherson right now. It's snowing, everything is freezing, and it adds to the ordeal because in addition to the hourly drone attacks and hourly artillery, there's also a risk of the pipes being frozen and the apartments being flooded, and for the residents to live without heat water and often electricity in these conditions is really pushing it from a crisis to a humanitarian catastrophe. Kherson has been suffering for the last 4 years. As you might know, it has been occupied for 9 months. Pretty much every building at this point has been damaged. Kherson is called the city of wooden windows. That's because pretty much every glass by now has been shattered in winter. Living without windows is bad enough, but as you know, Russia is now targeting the energy system, the power system, the heating system with non-stop nightly and here in Kherson daily attacks. What can be helpful now, based on my conversations with many people today, number one, generators, number two, fishing nets. These are the nets to cover the streets with the anti-drone tunnels. This is really helpful. Not every street's covered, but those that are protecting the residents, the civilians, from daily drone attacks. Also, anything for children could be helpful, and I can connect you with many volunteer organizations working here on site in the city, in the underground shelters, to help children. There are also many stray dogs and cats who are not just freezing in these temperatures, but also becoming a threat to the residents because there are many packs of stray dogs and they need to be neutered, they need to be vaccinated, they need to be taken care of. Most shelters by now are either ruined or damaged or running out of means. So this is the very minimum. The long-term goal is to raise the reputational security, to speak about Kherson, to let everybody know what is happening here. This is a polygon. This is the first city where human safari is being tried.
How is life in under a constant threat of drones? And I guess you have seen so horrible things already.
You have just seen my address to one of the screenings. I usually do that because the film has been going and shown all around the world, and I do not have time, money, or energy, neither inclination to travel to every screening. Unfortunately, I need to be reporting from Kherson. So I do these online Q&As or I send the video addresses. And many times I would record a video address from underneath the anti-drone tunnel for several reasons. And one of the reasons because it's safer, because the drones cannot reach me while I'm recording in there. The other reason is because this is the reality that people around the world do not have, fortunately. And this way I introduce the audience to the reality in Kherson at this moment. And it is quite dreadful. The people of Ukraine, the people of Kherson are very resilient, as everybody knows by now, and they are invincible, they are fighting back. But having said that, morale is great, still good. People are tired, but they are not surrendering. But the life is horrible and it's very dangerous. And every step outside can cause you life, but actually staying inside is not better because an artillery shell or a missile or large Shahid type drone can come and hit your apartment. But outside, in addition to all of these dangers, we are facing small FPV drones, which are hunting civilians. And this is what is called human safari. The reason it received this nickname is because on the other side of the river, there is a Russian pilot who can see the victim. However, lately we are also seeing the development of AI. So these small drones can also be programmed into waiting mode. They're called waiters, ждуны, and they can sit on the side of the road or on the roof and wait for the target they're programmed to hit. So in some ways, we are in the next level of hell.
This is just incredible. I remember the time when Kherson has been liberated after these 9 months of occupation in 2023. It was, I guess, yeah. And then the Ukrainians said, we don't have any electricity, we don't have water, we don't have light, we don't have um, what else? But we don't have Russians. That was so impressive that they are the Ukrainians are fighting for their freedom and also for our freedom, and we all have to support Ukrainians all the time. And I'm afraid that we are forgetting about Ukrainians, what they are fighting, and that's why thank you so much, Zarina, that you also and others that you tell the world about the conditions in Ukraine right now. I I know that you have been in the at the Munich Security Conference. Did you have any special meetings there or special experiences? What were your impressions of the Munich Security Conference?
Yes, well, thank you, first of all, for helping us reporters to bring the news out there. We couldn't do it alone. We need editors, we need channels, we need publications and independent channels and social media to help spread the word. And speaking of which, each and every one of you in the audience can help by sharing this and other interviews on Chris' channel, on other channels. And this is how it's done. We're in the modern information warfare where every
Mhm.
voice counts. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for supporting the people of Ukraine. I am an American journalist, as Christoph has mentioned, but I have been living in Ukraine for 4 years, and I have learned to admire Ukrainian people, and I'm actively seeking support in any shape or form I can get. And that's why I did make it to the Munich Security Conference this year. And the film Kherson Human Safari was an official side event, a part of the MSC cinema series. There were 3 films shown, and mine was the opening segment of this series. And I have also attended several panels, and I spoke at a official side event, also on the same subject, on the subject of the drone warfare. My impression was that the public events, the one that we get to see on television, on, I don't know, CNN, CBS News, are actually quite meaningless and just a lot of noise. Not much is happening there, other than maybe giving a tone and sending the general message, which was good. The general message was that Europe stands with Ukraine, but it's a very generic message. It's good, but we need things way more concrete than that.
Yeah.
And that I have seen being not really discussed, but at least these questions are being touched upon, and somebody starts this conversation in the closed side events. And what I have been told after that, through this networking and through these starting conversation, it then continues, and we can hope that there will be some results, there will be some changes in the industry, in the military and defense areas, and we will see what comes out of it.
Yeah. What you have been also on the rally of the a friend of mine has organized it. You have been speaking there. Did you also meet people there on the rally? How was your impression there on this pro-Ukraine rally? And by the way, there was also an anti-Ukraine rally right away, right next to it, which is. Have you seen that too?
I have been promised some rabid Russians and Vatniks running around and
Yeah.
disrupting everything. I have not seen anyone. That is to say, I was there only for about an hour, and the rally was going on for many hours. But I was also covering the conference and speaking at other events, so I couldn't stay longer. I did see quite a lot of prominent politicians, German politicians speaking there. They support Ukraine.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's good.
there was the ambassador of Ukraine in Germany spoke. Uh,
Alexei Makeyev.
yes, he also, I was lucky enough to have him speaking on the panel of the Kherson Human Safari film. He was very supportive. And yeah, it was good atmosphere. People were there despite rain and cold, and they were very compassionate. I spoke to quite a few lovely people, both Germans and international press members and Ukrainian refugees. It was a very diverse, mixed crowd, and it was very moving. And I'm very thankful to Fellows for Europe who put together such an impressive rally. They do a lot of events. They help Ukraine a lot. And again, Ukraine is very happy and very lucky to have such allies on their side.
Yeah, that's important. But on the other hand, it's going for such a long time, and my personal impression is that we Germans, we Europeans must and could do much, much more. When we see interviews of intelligent and good people like Bill Browder, they just have the easy solution. They say, if you cut off Russia from the money supply, then the war would be over in 6 months, like something like that, when Putin's running out of money. So yeah. So I said a thing. Probably
I
you. Yeah.
I tend to
Carry on.
disagree. I don't think it's neither simple nor straightforward. And
Uh-huh.
I think that it's not just the money issue. And it's a very common mistake when people project their rationale and their logic on
Mhm.
empire which went rabid and on dictators and serial killers and psychopaths. No, I don't believe that the war will stop if we just cut off the money. The Russians have been conditioned and brainwashed into complete slavery and into putting up, pun intended, with Putin's crazy ideas, many, fantasies, and they will be fighting even at expense of their suffering, expense of paying great personal price, and it's way more complicated than that. So, what are there solutions? Yes, there are solutions. Is it important to cut off the money and stop buying their oil and gas and gold and so forth? Yes, it's very important. Is it important to transfer the frozen assets of the Russian Federation in Europe and America to Ukraine so Ukraine can actually buy weapons to defend itself with? It's critically important.
Mhm.
But uh, is this all? Absolutely not. This is a very complicated conundrum. It's a number of problems, and there's not just one simple solution.
Oh yeah, thank you very much for telling that. Where is how do you see the end of the war, and how could it be ended in favor of Ukraine? And what could happen if things go wrong?
I'm being asked this a lot, but I'm not a clairvoyant. I'm a journalist.
Hmm.
Um, and while I can do some analysis, I cannot predict. And I strongly believe that when somebody starts telling you that they know how it will end, they are either lying or they are just delirious. Nobody knows how it will end. There are so many factors here. We are lucky if the Third World War doesn't start. I truly think that this is something that possibly we are to reasonably should be expecting, because if you read some history, World War One, World War Two, and the years leading on to world wars, it's a very similar situation. On the other hand, making such parallels is also, mm, we shouldn't be making such parallels. Uh, what I'm trying to say is that there's a risk of being a bigger war. We have a lot of, um, saying it softly, Putin is mildly, incompetent world leaders currently in charge.
Yeah.
Uh, we don't have very many competent leaders or strong leaders right now in charge. And this whole situation creates a very, very vulnerable worldwide standing on the abyss in a way, on the edge. Can we bounce back? Yes, probably. Hopefully, I'm an optimist. I hope so. But yeah, well, there could be any kind of black swan event. There could be deaths. There could be economic crisis. I don't know. I don't think the aliens would come, but I don't think anybody knows what will happen.
Yeah. So what would Ukraine need most from your point of view? I have been asking the deputy major of Kherson last year, and he said weapons, weapons, weapons. Is this also what uh, what is from your standpoint the most important thing Ukrainians should get right now?
Well, not just weapons, but the long distance, high precision missiles and weapons to hit the Russian military objects, which they just did yesterday, which is great news. And they are trying to apply this strategy, but they cannot do it without, again, long distance, high precision weapons. And they need Tauruses, they need weapons like Tauruses. um,
Taurus is really a topic I am not happy about the situation because Chancellor Merz has promised it, and I elected him for that, and he hasn't delivered it up to now. I don't know the reasons. I don't know him personally, of course, but this is for me. Do you have any explanation from your standpoint why Germany has still not delivered Taurus?
well, I also don't have the pleasure of knowing Councillor Merz personally, but I have been delivering presentations in the Bundestag twice, and I spoke to some politicians there. That was before the election, that was last year, and I think there's a lot, from what I understand, internal fighting, different opinions. There's a lot of pressure uh,
Hmm.
from every group and every party. And while the Green Party is ironically very pro weapon giving policy, which usually you don't expect from the Greens. I didn't once I just got to know them, but that is the reality of German politics
Hmm.
right now.
Yeah.
Other parties are not so inclined. And then, of course, you guys have AfD, which is a real risk to democracy worldwide, not just in Germany. And as pretty much anyone and their mother knows, these guys are fed up by the Russians.
Yes.
They exist on Russian money. There's a lot of investigations published and a lot of materials out there, and they're openly pro-Russian anyway. You don't almost don't need investigations; it's out there.
Mm.
So I think between all of this and between the voters, especially in the east of Germany, who strangely, through some kind of uh, post-traumatic syndrome, I don't know what kind of Stockholm syndrome, now supporting pro-Russian
Hmm.
parties,
Yeah.
create more complications. So I mean, when I visited Germany last year, just around the election times, and I did like this deep dive into your politics, and I'm happy that I don't do it every day. It's very complex. So I think somebody else should be answering these questions, somebody who's covering the internal politics in Germany.
This is absolutely difficult, this topic, and I personally have relatives in East Germany. My father, he was born in East Germany and he fled before the wall was built, and so he was in West Germany, and I grew up as a West German, and I have cousins in East Germany, and they are completely pro-Russian or spoiled, and they are electing for the AfD. And I have sometimes discussions with them, and it's incredible. You can tell them the facts, and they are, I don't know why, but they are completely brainwashed or what they. It's it's so difficult to change opinions which have grown for decades. They are. I'm now 60 years old, and my cousins, they are my age or 10 years older, so they have been, they know the Russians from the side of they are superior. We have to obey them, and
I
it's
think here we are dealing with the effects and results of a systemic propaganda and brainwashing.
yeah,
Because, as I have mentioned before, I started to do war coverage. I was doing hybrid war coverage, and for 10 years, I've been writing about the Kremlin narratives, cyber warfare, information warfare. And I can tell you that not just the Russians were brainwashed inside the Russian Federation, but there were mechanisms applied to the population of the Western Europe in the States. We are now dealing with the results of Russian brainwashing, namely Trump.
yeah.
Was elected through the information warfare campaigns, and we have the same. So your cousins are actually sadly victims of the same Russian brainwashing. And if we don't do, we as a collective democratic society is still in existence, if we don't do something about it now, if we don't become more proactive, like Scandinavian countries, for instance, like Finland has fantastic
Hmm.
anti-propaganda
Yeah.
program. Estonia does too. Some countries do have the systems in place, but we should be applying them more too. America is long gone now. There's not much we can do there. But in Germany, in France, in the UK, Spain, Italy, there is still the fight. We still can win, but we can also lose.
This is very important what you just say. So the Russian propaganda weapon, I call it also weapon, is probably more effective even as rockets or missiles or drones, because they turn around the political will of their opponents, and we are forced to be opponents. We don't want to be, but we are forced to. And you just mentioned the United States, Donald Trump. Uh, the United States now, hopefully not forever, have been turned around, upside down. Good, George Orwell, Newspeak, good is evil and war is peace, and so on. And I am afraid that the rest of us European countries will also fall one after the other. Next is France, the French AfD, which is called Rassemblement National. Jordan Bardella, he is leading the polls for becoming the next president probably, and then the next country would have been fallen. And how can we how can we prevent that from
Well,
happening?
we are doing it now. This
Mhm.
is that's how actually Ukrainians are different from the Western Europeans or just Europeans. They are not sitting around, they are fighting actively, and that's what we should be doing too.
Yes.
This is what we're doing right now.
Hmm.
We are not just talking and shaking air here back and forth. Every word matters, every opinion matters. If more people realize some facts that we are discussing now and that they didn't know previously, for instance, about the French being so close or in such a danger of being turned around, right? Or something else, or maybe you knew that all along, but you will be now more motivated to go and read more about hybrid warfare, about the mind wars, as it's called now, cognitive warfare, or the combat propaganda, you will know more how to protect your mind. And after all, the collective mind is called collective because it's collected from individuals. So if, as an individual person, we resist and we protect our critical thinking and we don't fall for Russian narratives. And I'm not talking about something as straightforward as World War II poster or a caricature. We're talking about more complicated things when you start doubting something, when you get a foggy worldview, when you're just tired and decide to switch off the news and just not read about the current situation anymore. All of this is the result of the brainwashing and propaganda, because the Russians, our adversary, they don't, and not just Russians, the Chinese,
Mhm.
Iran does that as well.
Yeah.
They want us to stop thinking. They want us to succumb and lose our political will. And if we don't, if we continue thinking freely, we will stand, we have a hope of not falling to tyrannies.
I am, it's so, yeah, it's so valuable what we are having here, our democracy, our free speech and free press and individual development of everybody and no dictatorship. And that's very, very valuable. And I cannot understand how people are throwing that so easily away. Um, yeah, so really, absolutely. Thank you very much, Zarina. Zarina, what you are doing with your work, it's incredible what you're doing. I'm absolutely, I'm stunned and admiring what you're doing. It's my big don't know the exact word which I should use now, but it's for our freedom, it's for our survival. So it's worth it.
Well,
Thank
thank you very much, for Krista, for your kind words, for your support, for what you are doing. We're all doing what we can. At least we are doing what we can. Maybe not all of us, but everyone can do something. And if we don't, we're going to lose all these wonderful things that you just listed. And trust me, as somebody who grew up in the Soviet Union, you don't want to lose it. And that's why Ukrainians are fighting so hard, because they know what they want to live with, what they want to live without. And it's like what you've mentioned a line from my film when I interviewed this woman who said, we are living without gas, without heat, without light, without internet, but we're living without Russians
yeah.
and without tyranny, and it's worth it. And that's how Ukrainians are living now, by the way, in harsh conditions in this very cold winter, but they also know why they are suffering. And with this, I want to encourage everyone to do their bit, their part, and defend the democracy. Don't take my word for it. Go and do your own work. Never listen to anyone, including me. Just do your own work, do your critical thinking, protect it, and hopefully we will get some better things to discuss next year.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zarina. And I guess there are also some people out there who see this now and they think, what can I do? And I know that you have on your website also a donation button, and you're very trustworthy and you are living in Kherson, and so please tell how the people can donate on your website or wherever.
As I have said, the most important thing is spreading the word. I'm a journalist, not I don't do fundraising. The
Yeah.
reason we added a help page, because people who watched the movie wanted to help families in Kherson. So I don't have any kind of charity or a fund. Whatever money people are sending, and it's not a lot, is going directly to the families who suffer from nightly bombing, or who just lost their house, or need to evacuate a handicapped person and so forth. I have two people who are actually featured in the film. They are volunteers. They're featured as volunteers, and they continue being volunteers. So the money is going directly to them, and they are helping the families and also helping the anti-drone funds, buying the anti-drone detectors, and other things needed to protect people from drones. So if you're so inclined, you're very welcome. It's certainly not my goal. It's easier for me not to collect money, but it is good for Kherson to get any help they can. Maybe I should mention that if you are not in the city where there's a public screening of Kherson Human Safari, you can also watch it online for free
Oh yeah.
without any registration at khersonhumansafari.com.
Yeah, I will link this down below. Absolutely important. Yeah, thank you so much, Zarina. And it was a big, big pleasure to talk to you today, and hopefully not for the last time. I wish you all the best. God's blessing for your work and for Ukraine, and stay strong, stay resilient, and become free very, very quickly. Slava Ukraini, ми переможемо.
Героям слава! Thank you, Christoph.